All right, so we're back again post-election, and you happy how it went?
So happy.
All right. Well, in terms of clips I thought were some of the best examples of why Trump won, one of them was Scott Jennings on CNN, and the other is Frank Luntz, who was on 60 Minutes Australia. He's not a Trump guy, but he had a pretty good explanation. So we're going to roll some of these clips, and then we're going to talk about them. Here is Scott Jennings on CNN. Roll it.
This is a mandate. He's won the national popular vote for the first time for a Republican, for the first time since 2004. This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed, insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids, and they feel like they have been told to just shut up when they have complained about the things that are hurting them in their own lives. I also feel like this election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex. I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not true. I mean, we were told Puerto Rico was going to change the election. Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley voters, women lying to their husbands. Before that, it was Tim Walz and the camo hats. Night after night after night, we were told all these things and gimmicks were going to somehow push Harris over the line, and we were just ignoring the fundamentals. Inflation, people feeling like that they were barely able to tread water at best. That was the fundamentals of the election. And so I think that both parties should always look at the results of an election and figure out what went right and what went wrong. But I think for all of us who cover elections and talk about elections and do this on a day-to-day basis, we have to figure out how to understand, talk to, and listen to the half of the country that rose up tonight and said, we've had enough.
I think you summed it up great.
That clip was good. I'll also point out that black voters came out at 16%, which is double what they were in 2020. Hispanics came out at 45%, and that was up from 32%. Women actually supported them about at the same rate as they did in 2020, actually slightly higher. Okay, so the next clip is, so on 60 Minutes Australia, Frank Luntz, who's a pollster, I thought had a pretty good explanation of why Donald Trump won the election. And he is not at all a Trump guy, and he almost sounds depressed, but he is spot on. So we thought we'd play that for you.
Their redeemer, soon to be the 47th president of the United States, risen from political ruin, propelled by the anger and frustration of millions.
It is an FU to those in charge over the last 4 years that promised to unite the country and didn't, promised to hear the voices of the unheard and didn't, promised to make a meaningful, measurable difference in the quality of life of everyone and didn't. And finally, they just said, F you. It was wrong, and it led the coverage.
Unlike so many of us, renowned Republican pollster Frank Luntz isn't surprised by the election result. Since Trump declared victory, I've had so many messages saying, how could Americans choose Donald Trump?
My job is public opinion, and it's to measure the hopes and fears of the American people and the reactions that they have to elected officials and the people who govern them. Right now, fewer Americans trust the institutions that govern them than ever before. Fewer Americans trust the people who run those institutions. And it's in that environment that Donald Trump got brought back into office. They were prepared to take Trump at his worst over Harris at her worst. He was the vote of the people who had enough. He won because the American people said, I don't want this anymore. I will take you, Mr. Trump, and all that baggage, because I believe you're most likely to bring about the change that this country needs.
So, Trump and his baggage, I don't think he's actually a Trump fan.
No, he's definitely not. But I mean, I think he explained it perfectly.
He did explain it.
He went on to say a few more things towards the end. So let me see if I can skip ahead.
You could not imagine seeing a political story like this.
These are extraordinary times.
We fight. We fight like hell.
The return of Donald Trump was impossible on January 7th, 2021. It was impossible.
He was gone. He was politically dead.
Done and probably heading to jail. And now he's president of the United States. Go figure. But you know what? In democracies, lots of stuff happen that's unpredictable. When the public says, I've had enough, listen to them. When they say, I want a change, pay attention. And if they're mad as hell, don't reject it, don't insult it, but embrace it. Because in the end, Donald Trump read America better than most of us. And he understood exactly what the country was looking for. And that's why the impossible became reality.
Any final thoughts or continuing thoughts?
Continuing thoughts. Well,
Okay, what do you got?
we can save this for the next one. Well, or should I say it now?
I don't know.
Okay, so
don't know what it
since he was voted in, we now have our first woman chief of staff from the sexist. The Taliban announced they want peace with America, and they want to be taken off the US terrorist watch list. President Putin says Western civilization is not an enemy.
You also mentioned something about the globalist order took a big hit when Trump got elected, which I thought was interesting. Did you hear him say that?
He says that all the time. And he also takes Trump's plan to end the war very seriously. Mexico has already stepped in, and they're discouraging large caravans headed towards the US border because they're afraid of the tariffs he's going to put on them. Qatar is kicking out all the Hamas leaders, saying they are no longer welcome. President Xi of China says he hopes for a peaceful coexistence with the US. Hamas calls for an immediate end to the war. Trump calls for term limits for all members of Congress. And stocks and cryptos are at all-time highs.
So that's it for this one.
Bye.